Mayor and Town Council Candidate Forum that will be decided on the August 28th primary ballot and is hosted by the League of Women Voters of the Greater Verde Valley. My name is Andrea Christel, and I will be your moderator for this forum. The forum this evening is also being videotaped by Verde Valley Broadcasting and will be showing on Cable 1, Channel 56, Sudden Link, Channel 2, and on YouTube. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization and envisions a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, and the knowledge and the confidence to participate in the political process. The purpose of the forum is for the audience to get to hear from the candidates on why they want to be a councilor and/or mayor. It is also an opportunity for the audience to give questions to the candidates about issues that are important to them. The goal for the forum is fairness, civility, and engagement. I would like to introduce our timekeepers and league helpers this evening. Our timekeeper right here in front is Kathy Davis.
Thank you, Kathy.
And our helpers this evening are Marie Helt. Marie is in the back there. Mary Gassaway. Mary, where are you? Also in the back by the table. Robin Prudhomme Bauer, organizer of all these great forums. And Diane Nadeau. Let's have a round of applause for all these people helping us put on this forum. The format for the forum this evening is in 3 parts. Part 1 will be opening remarks. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to introduce themselves to the audience, and then each candidate will be given 2 minutes to answer a question by the League of Women Voters. During this time, and maybe already, 3x5 cards will be passed around, and you're encouraged to write your questions on these 3x5 cards. They'll be collected by the League of Women Voters volunteers. Diane's waving to you over there. She'll be helping collect them, and they'll sort through them. I will then ask the questions on the cards, trying to get a variety of issues covered, and depending on the complexity of the question, candidates will have either 1 minute or 2 minutes to respond. If a candidate would like to make a rebuttal to another candidate, they've been advised that they can raise their hand and indicate that, and each candidate will have 1 minute for a rebuttal. Does everybody know how it works? You have lots of questions. Write down your good questions for these candidates on those 3x5 cards when they come around. Okay, I'd also like to go over our guidelines for the forum. The moderator's role, mine, is to manage the forum fairly to all candidates and the audience with the goal of keeping the discussion moving forward. The order of speaking by the candidates has been determined by a drawing we did just moments ago, and the candidates are to be respectful of each other's points of view, speak their mind freely, but do not engage in personal attacks, and the candidates will not interrupt one another. Okay. The audience is asked to refrain from applauding or in other ways demonstrating support or non-support for the candidates and their comments. Time limits on responses to the questions will be strictly observed, and the moderator will have the responsibility for enforcing these limits. If the guidelines are not adhered to, the candidates and the audience, the moderator will adjourn the forum. I don't want to do that, so let's not do that. Okay, now what you've all been waiting for, I would like to introduce the candidates that are running for mayor and town council. We have Charlie German running for mayor. We also have Alex Getting running for mayor, and Alex is a write-in candidate. Running for town council, we have Bruce George, Robin Watley, and Bill LeBeau. Okay, we will begin with the opening statements where each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Based on the drawing, Bill will go first, and then we'll take turns so that each candidate has an opportunity to go first answering the question. So, Kathy, if you're ready. Bill, we invite you to begin.
Well, thank you. As you heard, my name is Bill LeBeau. Some of you sitting out here might be saying, who? And that's an excellent question. I have never before been a candidate for any office. I'm retired here now, and a little time on my hands, thought it would be a good idea for me to become involved. I'm originally from a small town on the Hudson River in New York. It's not a small town anymore. It's a rather large town. But my wife, Erin, and I moved here from Wellsville, New York, which is actually out more towards Buffalo. She's a 3rd grade teacher at the elementary school. And I spent some time in the Army. I had 20 years of service altogether, 12 of them active duty, 7 in the National Guard, and a year plus in the Army Reserves. I retired at the rank of Major, and both subsequent to that and a little bit prior to that, I had some law enforcement experience. I've been a police officer, I've been a federal agent, and I've been a probation officer. That was the last 10 years of my working career in Rochester, New York, working with a violent youth group, youth gangs, primarily in a task force with the other law enforcement agencies in the area. I'm a member of the Camp Verde Community Church, where I'm an elder. I also play in the praise and worship band. I'm a percussionist, play a little guitar and some electric bass. And I spent the better part of a year over at the Camp Verde Marshal's office as a volunteer a couple of years ago, but unfortunately I aggravated a pre-existing back condition, and I had to call quits to that.
Thank you.
Thank
Alex
you.
Skedding.
Thank you, Andrea. Ready? Okay. Good evening. My name is Alex Skedding, and I am the certified writing candidate. Thank you all for attending tonight. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak before you. Over the next couple hours, in the next few weeks, I intend to convey a message to you of how passionate and committed I am for getting things done. I would like to thank the mayor for participating in tonight's debate. While I disagree with many of his decisions, I respect his commitment for service. But what we need now is a new voice and new ideas for Camp Verde. The other candidate is the status quo of increasing taxes, excessive spending, and cutting services. I am not. What I am is running to bring a better future for the children, elderly, and working families of this community. I'm running as a write-in candidate for mayor to increase the citizen involvement and provide a voice for those who have felt ignored by the previous administration. I'm here to run against a system that is broken and failing its citizens. I want to return the focus towards helping the most valuable resource we have in this community, its people. I've resided in Arizona for 11 years. I've lived in Camp Verde for 6 years, and for 5 years I've been the proud owner of Verde Brewing Company. I am a wildcat. I have a degree in history and economics. My business philosophy can best be described as creative goodwill, meaning that every day I work hard to improve the quality of life for our customers and our employees through the local production of craft beer. I believe my experience has provided me with a unique opportunity to listen and serve the needs of our community. I love what I do, and I love where I live. I am grateful to stand here tonight and ask for your vote as mayor. I wanted to share my conviction, dedication, and respect for this community, and I would honor to be your mayor. And I implore you to write in Alex Skedding for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And Charlie, and I'll ask all the candidates, I know these microphones are kind of far away, but if you can pull them up close to you, that helps everyone in the audience hear you. Charlie German for mayor.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Charlie German, current mayor of Camp Verde, seeking re-election. Thanks to all who made this forum available, and thanks to you for being here. I've lived in Camp Verde since 1951, with brief absences for college, service in the military, and short-term employment. In all, I've been in Camp Verde for nearly 60 years. My wife Linda and I moved back to Camp Verde in 1972. She was employed by the Verde Valley Medical Center as a registered nurse in the intensive care, critical care unit. And I began my 33-year teaching and administrative career here in Camp Verde. Our 3 grown children no longer live in the area, but have gone on to pursue their own life's goals. While living my professional career, I also had a service to the community career unfolding in a parallel fashion. Without exception, in that service to the community, every position in which I served, I was asked to serve by a number of respected and admired citizens who also were serving their community. I don't consider myself as a politician, but rather a person who loves his community, loves giving back to make things better for others. I commit to spending the time required to serve Camp Verde with honesty, integrity, and trust. Furthermore, I have no special powers given me as mayor. I'm one of 7 policymakers elected by the entire community rather than by special districts. During my lifetime, I've served in numerous organizations, many in Camp Verde, and I've honed my administrative skills for over 60 years to use in both my professional and my community service careers, and hope to continue to exercise them in your behalf for another term. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Watley for Town Council.
Thanks to the League for holding these forums. It happens every 2 years, and thank you for doing that. Oh, is it working? I don't know. I've lived in Camp Verde for 33 years. I was born in Prescott, and I'm a graduate of Prescott High School and Prescott College, so I haven't gone far. I've been in Yavapai County. What can I say? I love it. All 4 of my children have graduated from Camp Verde High School. 3 of my 4 children make their home here in the Verde Valley. My oldest son, Kevin, lives in Camp Verde, and he works for ADOT. My second son, Paul, is a major in the United States Air Force, currently serving as a JAG officer at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. So when I leave Camp Verde, I'm most likely going to Ohio. My daughter, Lauren, you might know, is a pharmacy tech at CVS. And my youngest son, Colin, works for a local construction company. Besides being a proud mom, teaching has been my profession. I did my student teaching at Camp Verde High School, and then I taught at a Montessori school for 8 years. Eventually, I found my way to American Heritage Academy, where I taught 1st, 3rd, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades before retiring last year. I've been a volunteer over many years in different capacities. Currently, I'm teaching ESL classes in the library here 2 nights a week. I'm a big sister, and I'm the primary caregiver for my 8-month-old grandson, my favorite job. I began attending council meetings regularly 3 years before I even ran for council. I always sat in the back seats. By the time I ran for council, I knew the challenges and the opportunities that Camp Verde faced before ever being on council. In the last 9 years, we've come a long way from barely hanging on financially
And we need to ask you to stop
being
at
in
this
good
time.
financial footing today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bruce George for Town Council.
Okay, well, I moved to Arizona 72 years ago at the age of 3.
Speak in the mic, please.
Is that better? Okay. So I'm almost a native. My wife, Pat, and I moved to the Verde Valley and to Camp Verde 20 years ago. How time flies. The climate is wonderful. The feel of a small town attracted us to our little spot of paradise. I served on council previously, first as a councilor, then as vice mayor. I am not a developer or a builder, and I'm not running for council to further my personal interests, like trying to stop the park being built just because it borders my house. I have no special interest except for those which benefit the town of Camp Verde. And when I look at an agenda item that the council must decide upon, I think about the entire town and not just my neighborhood. Since the last election, I have stayed involved in the town by first being appointed to the Board of Adjustments Appeals and then becoming a board member on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm almost a professional volunteer in that I am a local coordinator with AARP Tax Aid Service. Jim Ash got me started doing this over a decade ago, and I still enjoy the feeling of helping people. I have volunteered at Fort Verde setting up tents for events and painting the buildings. The old guys are one of my favorite groups to help. Look around and you will see something the old guys have done. The future of Camp Verde looks bright, and I can't wait for the 260 highway to be completed. This will help the growth of our town. The library was a long-awaited achievement, and our residents love it with all the programs that are there for them. With the completion of the new sports complex, families will look favorably to raising their families here. I look forward to the future of Camp Verde.
Thank you very much. We now have statements that will be read for 3 candidates for town council that could not be here this evening. Each of these statements, each of these candidates has 2 minutes worth of time. If the statement is completed within that time, we'll all be happy about that. But if not, Kathy will cut me off. Okay. This statement is from Jackie Baker running for town council. For mayor. Thanks, everybody. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Having completed over 17 years as a council member for the town of Camp Verde, the experience and knowledge I've gained will be a valuable asset to our community and its citizens. My focus will be on fiscal responsibility, true transparency in government, accountability of council and staff, and no new taxes. We must complete current projects before we schedule any expenditures for new ones. Camp Verde's location, our people, climate, and our 18 miles of the precious Verde River within our town limits are all invaluable assets. Together with our council, staff, and involved community members, I will continue working for the very best life in Camp Verde. Thank you for the opportunity to submit my statement, and thank you to all attending the forum. The League of Women Voters takes great care and effort to present candidates to the public to help them make informed choices. This effort is appreciated by all the candidates, I'm sure, and all of our Verde Valley citizens as well. Best wishes to all, Jackie Baker, mayoral candidate, Town of Camp Verde. The next statement is by Joe Butner, candidate for Camp Verde Town Council. What makes you qualified for a position on the Town Council? I have resided in Camp Verde for 24 years. During that time, I served 2 terms on the Planning and Zoning Commission and helped write the first general plan and rewrite the zoning code. I also served 2 terms on the board of directors for the Verde Valley Senior Center, during which time home-delivered meals were increased to over $50,000 per year. I served 14 years in the Yavapai County Attorney's Office, 4 years as Verde Valley Justice of the Peace, approximately 2 years as Chief Judge of the Yavapai Apache Tribal Court, and 4 years on the Yavapai County Superior Court, from which I retired. I have ridden with the Camp Verde Cavalry at patriotic functions for almost the entire time I have lived in Camp Verde, and have been a member of Prescott Frontier Days Rodeo for almost 30 years, serving on the board of directors for 6 years and president for 2 years. I have devoted the majority of over 40 years practicing law to serving the citizens of Camp Verde and Yavapai County. I will bring experience and a strong work ethic to the town council to help Camp Verde move forward with economic development, increased town services, and improved quality of life. What makes Camp Verde great? The greatness of Camp Verde begins with its citizens. They are a culturally and racially diverse citizenry that share a desire to live a Western rural way of life in a friendly small town atmosphere, which they have created and maintain. Additionally, Camp Verde is situated along the banks of the scenic Verde River, from which spring historic irrigation rights. It is located in the center of Arizona, astride Interstate 17 and Highway 260, and blessed with a moderate climate conducive to farming and ranching. Within its friendly confines are located a national park, Montezuma Cliff Castle, and a state historic park, Fort Verde, as well as large portions of the Yavapai Apache Nation. In addition to being a great place to raise children, it is also a great place to raise horses, corn, pecan trees, and grapes for wine production. What would be different if you were on town council? If I am fortunate enough to be elected to town council, I will relentlessly promote Camp Verde as a family tourist destination that should not be missed. That's time, but not the end of the statement. So if you're curious, I'm sure you can reach out to Joe Butner. And the last written statement from Carol German, candidate for Camp Verde Council. Good evening, citizens of Camp Verde. Upon receiving notification from the League of Women Voters that there would be a candidate forum on July 24th, I immediately responded that I would be unable to attend on that date. I will be attending a family wedding in upstate New York. I want citizens to know that I strongly support candidate forums. It gives citizens the opportunity to personally meet the candidates and to ask questions that are important to them. That is why I am thankful that there will be another candidate forum on July 31st that I will be able to attend. I sincerely hope that all of you who are here tonight will also attend the second forum to give me an opportunity to meet you. A sincere thank you to the League of Women Voters for all the work they do to provide citizens an opportunity to meet candidates that are running for office. Sincerely, Carol German. Okay, so that concludes the opening statements, and we'll now read the initial prepared question which all of the candidates have received prior to the forum. Following that, we'll begin asking questions that you have provided. If you have ideas or questions continue to come up, you can continue to write those on 3x5 cards, and our volunteers will continue to come around. 2 minutes.
2 minutes
for the candidates, and I will read the question. And then we'll start with Alex for this question. We know that you have lived in Camp Verde long enough to know that there are things you like and things you would like to change about living here. Obviously, some of your opinions have been presented in your campaign, but we would like to narrow the focus a little. So, what are 3 specific things that you like best about living in Camp Verde? And what are 3 specific things you would change of Camp Verde? We'll start with Alex Getting.
Only
Thank-
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
For all of that.
2 minutes.
Okay.
So
Talk fast.
2 minutes, 6 items.
Okay.
Thank you. The first positive thing I like about Camp Verde is the opportunity. As Frank Sinatra says, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. My ability to start a business was nothing short of magical, and I want other businesses to grow here. I believe it's low-hanging fruit, and we have a lot of room to grow. And I'd love to see my business grow here as well. I believe hard work pays off, and that people appreciate that here, and I really respect that. I also love, the second thing I love is the center of the state. It's access to urban and rural amenities. As Joe Butner said, all walks of life come to live and pass through here. It's a great place to meet people, and it's very exciting to live here, I think. The third thing is the great outdoors. Everybody knows how beautiful this place is. The ability to find your space and find yourself, connect with your family, and it's just people travel all over the world to come find this oasis. What I do not like about Camp Verde and what I believe Camp Verde can do better is addressing its drug abuse problem. I believe that we need to address this. We need to protect our families. And through this, I believe it addresses my second problem of getting better quality jobs. With a good job, you have self-esteem. You don't look for an escape, but you look for ways to improve yourself, improve your business, and improve your family, and keep marching ahead. And the third thing I think that Camp Verde can improve upon, and all communities can improve upon, is education. I believe that we need to ask ourselves, are we getting enough out of our education? Are we holding our students to a high enough standards? Are we holding our teachers and administrators to a high enough standards? And also the parents. We need to hold the parents, hold them to a standard. But I think if we address education head on, we will be able to tackle the quality job problem and the drug abuse problem. Thank you.
Charlie German.
Thank you. I love the contagious positive enthusiasm of the citizens when they come together for a common good. I love our beautiful location. I love the optimistic promise of the future of our community, where children raised here will have the realistic options of finding meaningful employment and living near their families. I don't know that I would change anything really, but I would like to improve strengthen the communication and cooperative planning among Verde Valley Sedona elected officials and Northern Arizona Healthcare in providing quality, accessible services and personnel for Verde Valley Sedona residents and visitors. We've seen how collaboration among all 9 elected entities in the Verde Valley has produced a safer, or will produce a safer, Highway 260. I'd also like to improve and strengthen the communication and cooperative planning among elected officials of the Verde Valley Sedona, Yavapai County Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Governors for Yavapai College. They all are interrelated in their service missions and goals, which could provide more comprehensive and efficient delivery of services to the entire Yavapai County, especially Camp Verde. Lastly, I would like to improve and strengthen the training and participation in leadership opportunities by our youth and community organizations and activities. And that includes working with our school district for things like developing the FFA-oriented business operation of an equestrian area. And that's just conversation at this point, but hopefully that will bear fruit. Thank you.
Robin Watley.
Charlie, I like your choice of words. Things I love about Camp Verde. First of all, the Verde River. It's why we're here. It nourishes. Oh, I'm sorry. I love the Verde River. It's why we're here. It nourishes our valley. It beautifies Camp Verde. The river brings tourist dollars in, and I just have the pure enjoyment of floating the Verde. It's amazing. It's a beautiful part of Arizona. I also love our location. We are the center of it all. We're within an hour from Sedona, Payson, Cottonwood, Prescott, Flagstaff, but we also have our own history and our own things here to keep tourist dollars in our town. I also love the small town atmosphere. I really like the knowledge that one person's vote matters and their voice matters. I have been at council meetings when I was not on council, and council was going towards a conclusion, and I was able to get up and speak to them and tell them my point of view and change their vote. It happens. So one person's vote matters here in Camp Verde, and voice. I'd like to change the residency requirement for our marshal. I think it's unfortunate that our commander is kept out of that process, only because he has a house in the Verde Valley, not in the primary Camp Verde boundaries. So that's a problem. Also, I would like to see Yavapai College invest in Camp Verde. They are everywhere in this county except Camp Verde. And I nail them on that every time they come to council. I'm asking them about that. Also, I would like to refute candidates who have the temerity with a straight face to tell us that the town is in financial difficulties. We are not. They are comparing our debt to 1 year's of revenue. That's like if I went to buy my house and they were going to see if I could pay for it on 1 year of what I made as a charter school teacher. It's not going to happen. So I went to the bank and I got a loan. And that's how the town is able to provide things. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Okay, the easy answer is because we live in a great climate. We have 18 miles of river running right through our town. This could also apply to several other towns in the Verde Valley, so liking Camp Verde is more than that. It's a small town atmosphere and the desire to remain small and yet be a good place to live and raise a family. We like the rural setting as evidenced by the adoption of these traits in our new general plan. We have embraced being a tree city and have the honor of having a dark sky designation. These are values that Camp Verde cherishes and why people enjoy living here. Nowhere else have I seen the spirit of volunteerism as great as here in Camp Verde. We have volunteers like Nikki Miller, Bobby Tennant, Liz Rowland, and of course the old guys led by Ray Floyd, and many more that I don't have time to list here. People like these are what make this town a pleasure to live in. These people realize that we can't always wait and say, let someone else do it. They pitch in and get things done. This is what makes Camp Verde a good place to live. In the same spirit is the sense of community togetherness. The best way to put this is an example of our library. Many years ago, a small group got together and said, we need a new, larger library building. And we had several groups that got together and we got it done, along with the Camp Verde Council that finally stepped forward and said, let's finance it, let's get it done, and here we are tonight. So what makes a community is the people who choose to live here and help it grow and prosper. It isn't only buildings, but the passion of the people who want what is good for Camp Verde. I also would like to change the residency requirement in our town code. It's not fair. It came before council once before, and as my father said, which way young Americans, we have freedoms in this country. We have the freedom to travel, we have the freedom to work where we want, we have the freedom to live where we want. That's what America is about. And I would also like to see, stop. I got too impassioned on that. So.
Thank you. And Bill LeBeau.
Might I have 30 seconds or so to rebut something that was said during the opening statements, I believe alludes to me?
No, please just make your opening statement, and then we'll give everyone an opportunity to rebut after that.
All right. One of the things that I love most about Camp Verde is its history and its heritage. I'm sorry, I was not on the microphone. I love that there are still cowboys here. I really, really hope that the rodeo comes together. I know that we've got some assets and from what I can see, a very, very strong group of people that want to make that happen. I'd like to see that happen. I think it'll help bring some more business to town. We enjoy the climate here and the surroundings. It is still 4 beautiful seasons. A little hot right now, but compared to where we came from out near Buffalo, this is heaven to me. There's so much beauty in the desert that I didn't know existed until we came out here and started exploring the Verde Valley. In and of itself is just a great treasure, and it's a great privilege for us to live here. The other things that I really, really enjoy are the friendly people, and I think it's specific here to Camp Verde. Even other towns are not quite as friendly as it seems. I like to talk to people. I like to open up with a little bit of a joke or something to get people talking, and I have never had any problem getting anybody in Camp Verde to sit down and have a conversation with me. I think that's different even from the close surrounding towns. That being said, I am going to be a candidate that has a temerity that questions the town's financial status. I am very, very worried about the debt that we're accumulating. It looks like we're going to be taking on more if the water company comes to pass. There's some other projects that are in the works. And just as a matter of one figure, out of the budget this year, we're spending $1.5 million just on payments to the debt that we already have. I'd like to see more transparency in government. There are a lot of things that go on that, frankly, for a small town, I'm surprised that not very many people know about projects that are happening, decisions that the council makes. And I would like to be able to talk to people, be a representative of people, and get their opinions and ideas, and make intelligent votes based on that information, as well as do my own research into any particular topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We informed the candidates they would have an opportunity to request a rebuttal to any statement that's been made. So they'll have that opportunity, and they have the option of making a rebuttal. We'll start with those with Alex getting 1 minute. And you can opt to take that opportunity or pass.
I'll pass, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll pass.
I'll take it. Are you kidding? With this financial thing, Standard & Poor's Financial Services just gave the town a grade of AA- rating. We have $1 million more in our reserves than we're required to have by state statute. For the last 5 years, we've received a CAFR award, which is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report Award. These candidates that have a problem with town finances are using skewed numbers and either have a problem with the sports complex or are neighbors to the sports complex. They've done everything they can think of, including suing our mayor to keep the sports complex out of their backyard. That does it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce?
Robin said it well. I'll pass.
Okay, and Bill LeBeau.
Well, first I'd like to say that unequivocally, I am not against a sports complex. It does not directly abut my property. My wife and I knew that we were going to have a park of some sort there before we bought our home. I'd like to say that I have 2 very, very spoiled dogs. They get in a truck every day. We go to Butler Park from McCracken. They go for their walk. If I could walk out my door and into a park, I'd be a very, very happy guy. As far as the financing goes, I'm from New York. I know what high taxes look like, and at this level of borrowing, if it continues, is going to lead to higher taxes, more fees, perhaps service reductions. I don't know. I'm here in Arizona because I don't want to live in New York, and I don't want to see us become like New York. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is for Alex Getting particularly, so he'll have 1 minute to respond, and then all of the other candidates will have 1 minute to respond to this if they choose as well. Alex Getting, why did you decide now to run for mayor and as a write-in candidate?
Thank you for asking that question. I decided to be a write-in candidate because I believe town council isn't listening to the people. A year ago, I was involved with a sign violation, apparently, and I was charged with littering, threatened with 6 months jail time for putting out my signs to direct people to my business. I'm still being charged with that crime, quote unquote, and I have the Goldwater Institute saying that they would rewrite the town's unconstitutional sign law for them if they had dropped prosecution. The town decided to not drop prosecution, and even in their campaign packet that they hand out, it says no signs in the public right of way. And yet, here we are seeing signs in the public right of way for campaigners. I think that's wrong and it's not fair. And so that's why I'm writing as a write-in, because something's got to be done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Charlie German?
That question?
You can comment on the question for him if you would like, or you can pass.
Okay, thank you. State law trumps local law when it comes to signs, and the state statute allows campaign signs, not necessarily business signs. So that trumps it, Alex. And so that's why they're remaining there. It's a felony, or not a felony, but a misdemeanor to move those signs, and you can be charged if you do so, unless you are the candidate. So that's why it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Watley?
Yes. The public right-of-way also is 260, and if you've noticed, we've all been very respectful of not putting our signs on 260. We do have a sign ordinance in town. If we didn't, I can't imagine what we would look like. So I think we need one. Also, Alex, you have a campaign packet right there. You did pull a campaign packet, is that true?
So we won't have you ask questions directly to the candidates.
All I can say is he has a campaign packet. I don't know why he didn't go out, get signatures, turn it in like the rest of us did. It's just a question. I don't know. Rhetorical, apparently.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Yes, I don't think Alex actually answered the question, because he had, as Robin said, he had an opportunity to take a packet out, get the required signatures, and do it just like the rest of us did. So it seems like a late date that he had the opportunity to do it like we all did. So I don't think he answered the question.
Thank you. And Bill LeBeau?
All I was going to say is regarding Alex's signs, I don't know the particulars. I know that there are rules, that there are laws, there are codes, and as a town, I would hope that with a small business, we would bend over backwards to try and come to some sort of an accommodation. I don't know how the communication was. I sensed that if there was a criminal charge involved, it probably wasn't very good, but I would like to see the town at least try to work with its business owners and not make it harder to make a living here in Camp Verde.
Thank you. And Alex, if you would like 1 minute to reply to that, you can have it.
Yes, please. I pulled a campaign packet because I did plan on running for council, and maybe for your seat, Robin. But instead,
good luck.
Since I was chilled from running, I was chilled from putting my signs out, I have the Constitution backing me, and I believe I am the right. I believe the Goldwater Institute is in the right, and I hope town of Camp Verde takes up the Goldwater Institute and rewrites their sign campaign. I am running for council because I believe I can win. I believe I can make substantive changes in this town, and I think that's exactly what we need, and I've got the passion and the commitment to do it. So I will not back down. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the next question, we'll begin with Charlie German, and this question is addressed to candidates who have served on council previously. If you have served on the council, name one Camp Verde issue you have initiated and then worked to bring it to a vote and get a majority vote. We'll take 1 minute for that.
Okay, well, there's a couple of things that I initiated, and one of them was, of course, the new medical facility that we have. I had communications as a mayor-elect with the Verde Valley Medical Center, and it was 3 years from the time of those conversations until we actually had a brand-new medical facility. So that's one, and the other item was in bringing forward the construction and financing of the library. And like I said, one of 7 policymakers, and it wasn't just me, it was the council that chose to do that.
Thank you. Robin Watley?
Boy, that was, yeah, it's been a long time that I've been on council. Right off the top of my head, I have helped push forward a number of things. I am not quiet. I helped in many of these efforts that Charlie is talking about. We are one of 7. Right off the top of my head, the residency requirement, which did not pass, sorry, and obtaining signs for the senior center, being a voice for the library, the medical center, 260, and I am a voice.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Yeah, I was instrumental in getting the beautification award for businesses in town on a quarterly basis. And the Adopt a Highway with Jesse Murdoch, Robin Watley, and I had Charlie German out picking up trash along there, so that was another win-win. And I have pushed hard to get bike paths through our town, and we now have share the road signs, we have more bike paths, and so I'm really proud about those things that we have done.
Thank you. And then Bill LeBeau and Alex, I believe
Doesn't apply to
you've
me.
not served on council previously. Okay, so we'll start the next question with Robin Watley. Should the town of Camp Verde consider applying for city status as a charter city? Would it improve or change the government practices on the decision of having town citizens fund a $7 million sports complex with a population of 12,000?
Say that again?
Sure. Should the town of Camp Verde consider applying for city status as a charter city? And would this city status improve or change the government practices on its decision of having town citizens fund a $7 million sports complex with a population of 12,000 residents?
Okay, we're talking about town citizens funding the sports complex. You only fund the sports complex if you buy something. That's it. We do not have any kind of property tax. We have no tax besides the sales tax. If you don't want to pay our tax, don't buy things in Camp Verde. Personally, I like to buy things in Camp Verde. I want to pay my tax. I was one of the happiest people there were when Amazon started putting my sales tax on my Amazon bill, because I believe in our city sales tax. We do, and this proposition that we're somehow going to raise taxes, I have no idea where that came from. There is no plan ever in the future to raise any taxes. There it is. They're trying to skew our financial status again. Good luck.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Thank you. We have, League of Cities has 91 towns in Arizona. Phoenix, Flagstaff, Prescott are charter towns. The rest of them, as far as I know, are not charter, which is, I think, is what this question is referring to. And I think the rest of the towns are doing just fine, raising money, and prospering just like they are without being a charter city. So,
This has somehow come around to taxes again. The $7 million isn't all it's going to cost for that park. I've heard from the manager's own lips that he's probably going to need another $8 million to finish it. On top of that, we have the sewer treatment plant, which was ostensibly for some upgrades to meet compliance, but I suspect, I have no way of knowing this, but I strongly suspect that it's so that we can generate the A+ water to irrigate those fields with. I would add that to the cost of the park as well. If we keep borrowing this money, taxes are going to go up. Money's got to come from someplace, and we're spending this year, I believe, $27 million with an income of far less than that. So the money's going to come from someplace, from somebody, somehow. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
Thank you. I don't have details on what a charter city is and how it would affect the park, so I won't really address that, but I will address the park. I know for $8.5 million, it's going to be a really nice park, but I think we should all think about what we are getting from our government for $8.5 million, what we're getting from them from the salaries that we pay them with our taxes. I've driven around town. I know we have great parks already. I think they can be rearranged and used in more efficient means. So I think one thing I'd like to do as mayor is create more committees that would create a park committee and pool committee, a road committee, a utility committee, a sign committee that creates greater involvement so we know what we're getting and what we really want to do in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Where do you start?
Where do I start for 1 minute? You know, through the years, there's been committees and all kinds of studies. Well, one of the precipitating things and one of the reasons, there were 3 reasons we incorporated more ball fields for our kids. That was 32 years ago, and it was even before then. So ladies and gentlemen, as a community member that's lived here over 60 years, I've heard this song and dance so many times. Even when I was on the school board, the sky is falling, we can't afford this, we can't do this, we can't do that. You know what? I'm of the belief at 75, there's nothing we can't do. And I am committed to make sure that we do what's been voted on by the electorate in Camp Verde of how they want their community to grow. And that's 2-to-1 vote by the electorate for the general plan. I've watched Camp Verde for 32 years every time. Now you're just going to have to tune in next year to find out what's happening.
He can have my 3 minutes.
2 years.
Thank you. Okay, Bruce George will take the next question first, and I'm going to combine 2 questions into one for this, and each of the candidates will have 2 minutes to respond. What is your position on marijuana, and what are you going to do about the opioid addiction problem?
Interesting question. Yeah. The medical marijuana that we have, I use part of the CBD on myself, on my knees ache. It's not the THC, and it does a great job. So I am for the benefits that you get from that. And of course, we all know that the opioid addiction is bad, and I don't know how we're going to stop it, but we need to have more discussions about it. So we'll have a committee, right? So.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
Well, it's the 21st century, and marijuana, like many other things, seems to be an adult decision. If it does become legal, it should be okay for adults to use. I would worry the most about impaired driving and also access to children. There are a lot of candies, a lot of baked goods, a lot of things that even children don't realize possibly contain those drugs. So that would be a concern to me. But as far as adults go, I don't really have a huge problem with it. Opioids, I don't know how much influence the town would have. Kind of a funny conundrum is that there were a lot of addictions to prescription medication, and there were a lot of pills available on the street. And many, many people abused those. Many, many people became addicted to those. Big push by government, probably absolutely well-intentioned, but what that did was it dried up the supply of prescription-grade medication that was making its way to the street, and people are doing heroin now, and heroin mixed with fentanyl, and people are dying. I don't have an answer for that. It's a very, very complicated issue, addiction, and I'd like to think that we might have a little bit of influence over how that goes, supporting programs perhaps, a little funding. I don't know, as far as countering abuse and fostering some treatment and helping people that do become addicted to those substances.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
My position on marijuana is that I am in favor of medical marijuana. I use it for my Crohn's disease and have been for 5 years. I agree that there is some concern. I think we need more education and testing about the benefits and harms of marijuana before it becomes legal. But I do believe that it can create jobs, and that could be an option. Also, I've heard studies that marijuana can also lead to helping opioid addiction, that getting them less off a more addictive drug to something that's not addictive may help. But ultimately, I think it stems from education, that we need to educate people on why they don't want to be on opioids. I never wanted to be on opioids because I thought I was going to be in the NBA, but that never happened. So I just kind of stuck on the straight and narrow. But I think what I will do with the opioid addiction problem is that I will fill the room with smarter people than myself, and we will come to a conclusion and try our best to solve it and make a little dent. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Yeah, my personal views on marijuana stand with, I can see the benefits for the medical, and I leave that to the medical profession and the patient. As far as open reign on social use of marijuana, I think the research is still out on that, and I would be very hesitant to vote for something like that without careful consideration. We're already impacted by the opioid situation. Right now, our risk manager is notified us about concerns on cleaning up areas down along the riverbank where there's been meth labs, other kinds of drug use. Parsons Park was just cleaned up. We're using volunteers and staff people, and there's a real danger in going out and cleaning that up and having contact with it. So we're looking very carefully at implementing how we take a look at that, and I'll be bringing before council a suggestion that perhaps we develop through our elected communities and officials, including the county, developing a team who can go out and take care of that are trained to deal adequately with that opioid cleanup in those camps. Otherwise, we're going to have some real problems with people being injured or hurt, and it's not the responsibility of a police officer who knows about that stuff to go out and clean that stuff up simply because they understand it. So I'm going to be making that suggestion with our elected officials and see if that will gain any kind, at least in cleaning up our areas and keeping our volunteers safe. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'd ask everyone to refrain from applause, please. Thank you. Robin Watley.
I want my $10 back.
Well, I could have applauded what he said. He has my full support on his initiative and what he's trying to do. Our growth facilities, we have some in town. They're employing people, which is something that we've always, we're always looking for employment opportunities. Medical marijuana, I think, would help with the opioid problem because it's giving people another option. People who are in chronic pain, and I have been in pain, and I understand somewhat, but people who are in chronic pain, that means all the time, they need help. And if medical marijuana can help to keep people from abusing opioids, I'm all for it. So, thank you.
May I have rebuttal time?
Sure. Each of the candidates may have 1 minute for a rebuttal, and we'll start with Bruce George.
Yeah, the other thing I'd like to point out is that there's many thousands more deaths caused by alcohol on the roads, and there really isn't any study showing that marijuana is doing the same thing. So there's much more alcohol-related deaths than there are marijuana. And we have several grow facilities here in Camp Verde, and yet we aren't getting any revenue, sales tax revenue. We need a dispensary here so that we can get some revenue from it. So why not?
Thank you. Bill LeBeau? Alex Getting.
I agree with Bruce about we do need a medical marijuana facility here. It is an expensive drive to go over there to pick up your medication. And I agree with Charlie that we also need a drug abuse committee, and that's we need to get a lot of voices in here, and whoever, I would love to work with the committee or the community to do that. So. Thank
you. Charlie German.
I think it's been stated. Pass.
Okay. Thank you. And Robin Watley?
No.
Pass? Okay. The next question will go to Bill LeBeau first, and I'm actually going to combine 3 questions. So I know the candidates have something to write with, so you might want to take notes on this.
I'm ready.
2 minutes for this question. Okay. And this is related to economic development. So we have 3 questions that are really related here. And so over the next 10 to 15 years, what plans do you have for economic growth? And can you give 2 ways or thoughts on how you can foster economic growth? And then finally, describe what a vibrant economy looks like in Camp Verde and how you would balance it with natural resources. So I'll repeat that. You have a 10 to 15 year horizon for economic growth, specifically 2 things that you would do. And what would look like that vibrant economy, and how would it be balanced with natural resources? Everybody got that? Or you need it one more time?
Wow.
Yeah.
10 to 15 year horizon, 2 things. What does it look like? How is it balanced with nature? That's a good question, Bill. You go first, 2 minutes.
That's a hard question. Camp Verde's going to grow. I mean, all communities have to grow or die out. We've got plenty of ghost towns around Arizona to prove that. Once certain things dry up, people go away. We have unique opportunities here for recreation, tourism. Folks that I speak to almost invariably want to see another grocery store. I'd like to see another grocery store too. But we have to balance the retail, the sales tax revenues with some good paying jobs and some housing that's going to go along with that. I think we have a real need for high density, affordable housing. We need to keep young people in town. We need to have those jobs and residents to do that. I think I might have already spoken a little bit on ways to grow is to increase the tourism. And to balance that against, of course, the river is fragile, the ecosystem is fragile, and we don't want to overdevelop that. We don't want to endanger that water resource in any way. That is our lifeblood here and throughout the state. Vibrant economy is a mix of things. It's business, it's retail, it's the residential support, it's recreational opportunities, and I think we have to foster some things, all of those things actually, in their separate ways to get Camp Verde to become a vibrant, livable community. I don't want to see overdevelopment or haphazard development. I love the character of the town. I don't want to see that lost in any way. I love the rural character, the farming, the ranching, and those other things. But on the other hand, we got to have some places to shop, and we got to have some things to do. We got to have reasons to keep families here. Thanks.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
Yes, economic development for the next 10 to 15 years. I think we really got to focus again on education. If we want to attract businesses here, no business is going to want to move here and raise their family if there's not a good education system. So I think that's one thing that needs to be addressed, is in keeping a focus on education, no matter who's mayor. There is a book titled Suburban Sprawl, which I hope is in the library and you can all check out and read. It talks about a healthy community being walkable. I want to focus on a downtown vibrancy. Right now, I see a lot of empty buildings out there, and I see 260 being built with the hope of a lot of big boxes being out there. I think big box stores have passed. We have Outgo empty still. So if we're going to build big box stores, I think that's kind of fantasy. So we got to focus on downtown, walkability, conserve our money, don't drive everywhere. That will help the impact on nature. Mixed-use housing, so we have shops on the bottom, residencies up top. I want old people to work with, or live with young people. I want there to be families, people that are just starting out. I want them to live together and they can see what hard work pays off in a young family and what you can achieve here. And so, yeah, I think if we focus on downtown and making a vibrant downtown, we'll cut down on driving and we can just kind of walk and enjoy the nature we do have and not sprawl out so much. So that's my belief. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Yeah, I'd like to basically say I agree with a lot of what Bill LeBeau had to say. I'd like to come back to a couple of things. Number one, you know, we'd all like another grocery store, and I've sat down with 5 people that are for 5 different grocery stores who are in the exploratory actions of deciding where they put in their new stores. Camp Verde has to have, according to their bean counters at corporate level, 20,000 in the 86322. Now, the way we're approaching it as a town is saying, look, Beaver Creek, Lake Montezuma is about 5,000 or 6,000, and we're at 11,500. We're almost at 17,500. You have to drive through there to go to Cottonwood to do your shopping. We would like for you to look at us now and see where we are with when the property is available at a reasonable price. Buy your property, come in, do your brick and mortar, and we're ready to go. And we have in excess of 95,000 valley-wide. So we don't want to duplicate what's already here. We want to bring in so that people will travel on a new highway coming down and shopping in Camp Verde as well as anywhere else. basically Sedona shops in Cottonwood at Walmart. So that's the plan. With the general plan, it gives the plan of how we want to go, and it's reviewed every 5 years. And it's done by citizens at the committee level, which is with the planning and zoning. And that's the place to get involved when you want to make the changes and how the directions should go. This makes it very easy for any candidate, including the mayor, to follow these procedures that the voters have said. And for education, you have a school board. That's why you have local control.
Thank you. Robin Watley.
I think that needs to be brought out. We are not in charge of the education of children. We have a school board. They have 5 members. They have regular meetings. They are in charge of teachers, of the curriculum, of all of it. And of course, we love to support them in any way that we can, and we have done that with a pool in past years. But we are in no way, shape, or form the school board. We are the town council. Thank you for that question. That's part of my closing statement, but I'll give it now. We're not waiting 10 or 15 years down the road. We're doing it now. The current council and the one before with Bruce George as a member have made huge strides for our citizens, improving their lives and their possibilities for the future. With infrastructure improvements that are being put into 60 as it is being built, not later, and we have to tear it all up, we're doing it now, and will entice business opportunities and an employment base. At the same time, it protects our Main Street and our businesses in the town proper for our local mom and pop stores, and to keep our city center intact, which I think is incredibly important. The investments that the council has made will create a new environment for new business on 260, as well as employment opportunities for our young people who want to stay here and raise their families here. So that's it. Sorry, I didn't take all my time. Wow. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's unusual.
Bruce George.
We need to stick with our roots. We are a small rural farming community, but our biggest assets are our tourist attractions. We have Montezuma Castle, we have Montezuma Well, we have Fort Verde, and we have several other major attractions that we need to keep emphasizing, which will bring tourists in. Tourism is our big money driver. We need to keep going that direction. And we have wineries here, and our new general plan has character areas. So out along our new 260 highway, we're going to see new stores opening up, but the character area for downtown still says that we're going to have smaller stores in that area. So go by the character areas, and we may not get the Walmart, which I don't really want, but we will have lots more stores going out along the 260 corridor going toward Cottonwood. So I think we're going to do fine.
Okay, thank you. And we'll start the next question with...
Can I do a rebuttal?
Sure. So we'll have an opportunity for rebuttals. We'll start with Bill LeBeau, 1 minute, if you would like a rebuttal.
I know that this education is done by property tax and that we don't necessarily have a say on that, but I think we need to be more connected with our school board and more involved with them. I believe the library should be open 7 days a week. We need to make that happen. Education happens here, and if they're, I think children should be hanging out here on Sunday afternoons. And we cannot depend on tourism to be the lifeblood of our economy. When there's a bad economy, people don't travel, and we need to sustain ourselves through that. I would like to see us put more attention on the health of our community and our people. I think that's what will attract a good economy, taking care of our elderly, and when people see how well we take care of them, they'll want to move here and grow old here. So I think we need to fund Meals on Wheels as well. I think that will help our economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German, rebuttal?
No.
Robin Watley, rebuttal?
Yes. I know I didn't take all my time, but I forgot something. I want to emphasize that we have people coming to bashes from out of Camp Verde. And the reason is for the sales, and there's no food tax. We exist on sales tax, but we do not tax our food. Guess who taxes their food? Cottonwood. So every time we go over there and shop, we are helping them build Cottonwood. So I wanted to make that point. Also, I think we have helped with the health of everyone in this community by bringing in Verde Valley Medical Center. I mean, I have been there. I have used their services. I didn't have to go to Cottonwood. Also, we have a senior center, which I do belong to and frequent. They have $5 meals. They are fantastic, from soup clear down to your dessert. So that's my rebuttal.
Thank you. Bruce George, rebuttal?
As to Meals on Wheels, we do fund that, not to the level they would like, but they always want more than we can afford, but we do give them every bit that we can. So, and it is a worthwhile program, so we do what we can.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll start the next question with Alex Getting. And I realize the last question was very complex, and I think because of that, most of the candidates left off the final part. So I'm going to ask that again and give each of the candidates 1 minute to talk about how you would balance economic development with environmental sustainability. 1 minute, Alex Getting.
Okay. I believe that good business is good for the environment. I mean, I do not want to use more water than I need at my brewery, and I don't want to put harmful chemicals into the ecosystem that we're going to have to eventually fix and have to take care of by getting medication and other things that come reciprocate from that. But I think, again, walkability is important, and I think this community needs to do a better job of developing their downtown and do more support for downtown and let people walk there. There's a great park there already that I see underutilized, and you know, I don't want to see a lot of sprawl in this town. I see it in Phoenix, and it's not pretty, and it's hot down there, and we're cool because we do have a lot of green spaces. So let's just control our growth and do it in a smart way. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Yeah, it sounds like a great thing to control the growth. How many of you own your property?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you own your property.
Yeah.
You want the town to let you know how you're going to, whether you're going to sell it or who you can invite in on your properties? I'm not going to be a part of a government that will dictate that. So same thing is on the empty buildings in town. It's not the town that goes out and gets the businesses to come into empty buildings. It's the person that owns the property, and while the town can help that by making sure that we have a system of codes that allow for people to make that transference of business, it's not the town that has to go out short of putting a gun to somebody's head and say, you're going to rent that place and start a business. Where the town can really be successful is in developing support for those businesses, and we're doing that through the library and giving classes on how to run your business and from every aspect. You were just too fast on those cards.
All right, Ellie.
Kathy's good. She's on it. Okay, thank you. Robin Watley.
And thank you, Charlie. I got to go with him. Last night I was teaching an ESL class last night upstairs. They had a business meeting in here talking to businesses about all number of things. Employees, sales tax. They have classes for all kinds of things for our businesses. So we are working with our businesses. Also, if we put those big box stores and those huge things out on 260, that keeps our town center for us. We can close down the street. We can walk the street. If you haven't been to a Trick-or-Treat Main Street, wow, it's amazing. People come from everywhere, and we walk up and down that street and have a great time. Almost every meeting I go to, we talk about water. I don't care what it is. It can be off the charts. You don't think it's going to come up, and it comes up. So we're always talking about the Verde River and what we can do to keep it. I mean, it's vital that we have the Verde River. Also, never mind.
Thank you. Okay. Bruce George.
She did that on purpose.
Well, I think tourism is a green, environmentally friendly industry. There's no chemicals to pollute, no nothing. They come here, they spend their money, and they go back home and they take pictures and then leave. So, and we're developing new RV parks to get more people in here. So they're going to stop. They're going to spend a couple days here. They're going to spend their money. So tourism is a good industry. It's environmentally friendly. And I would also like to put more emphasis on our 18 miles of river. We need more put-in spots. We need more signage saying it says I got 30 seconds, so thank you. I would like to see more signage to help people understand how far they can go on the river and still have a good time. So.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
We want business to come to Camp Verde, whether that be retail, whether that be manufacturing, whether that be healthcare or other services. And the bottom line, I think, for anybody that's planning to open a business is they're going to go where they can make money. They can't make money, they ain't coming. I think that we need to be careful with regulations, rules, working with people that are planning to come to make that as easy for them as we can while still protecting the environment. We have some fragile desert ecosystems. I like the idea that we're going to have trailheads in the new sports complex, but some thought's going to have to be given to what the use is going to be, whether it's going to be horses, motor vehicles, pedestrians, and watch that ecosystem. And the river is just a wonderful asset, but that's also a fragile ecosystem. We've got to be careful that we don't overdevelop that.
Thank you. Okay, for the next question, we'll start with Charlie German. We'll have 1 minute for this question, and it is, do you support parks in the community, and why? Or why not?
Yeah, why not? As I said before, watching and living here, and this is a little side note. In 1951, when we moved down here, we had raw sewage from Clarkdale all the way down to Beasley Flats that was emptying into the river. And we were looking, I swam down there, learned to swim under the old white bridge. And then when we talked about doing Little League and taking the little school bus, the school was involved in taking our Little League players to Clarkdale, play Little League. We didn't have enough ball fields then. And there's agencies that do an inventory for the town as to how many ball fields they need. We were indicated that we're behind in all aspects. That's when we began to talk about having more ball fields, and that was one of the reasons why we incorporated better police service and to pave our roads. Those were the other two. I lived it. I was here. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Watley.
Part of solving the drug problem is keeping those kids busy. Let's get them in Little League and do all the things and have facilities for them. When my kids were playing Little League and doing their things, the lights would go out at 10, whether that practice or game was over or whatever, and we went to our cars. And they had to get up the next morning and go to school. We are desperate for that, and our sports complex will solve that problem. I love the parks. We have survived with Butler since incorporation and before. We need more parks. Homestead is going to be built by the Arc Center. That will give access to tourists right off 260. Parsons Park, I think, will be a local park for citizens, easy access to the river. Of course, we have Butler. Rosonico Park is being built in conjunction, another river access, and also we acquired Verde Lakes for zero money. That cost us nothing. So
Thank you.
I support parks.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Butler Park is overused. When I was on Parks and Rec Commission, we had hundreds of people coming and complaining that they didn't have places for their kids to play soccer or baseball. And personally, I spent several weeks filling the cracks on the one tennis court that we have so it could be usable again. Alan Williams helped me resurface it. My grandson and I were out there grinding on making it good. So I am definitely for parks. We need more parks, and the sports complex is going to be a great addition. I have more time. Okay.
How come I always run out of time?
Yeah.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
absolutely in favor of parks. I think it's universally, not universally, but almost universally acceptable that we do need some more ball fields in the town. I don't know that very many people would refute that at all. Some people question whether we need 100 acres of new ball fields. It's a big project. There are going to be 6 new baseball fields, I believe, a couple soccer fields, some pickleball, some other really, really cool things to have over there. It's going to require more maintenance, more employees, more people to take care of the grounds, other additional costs that we're going to have to consider. But I have absolutely no problem with parks. I welcome a park very, very close to where I live, and I will continue to support that.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
I support parks and I love parks. I walk to the park by downtown almost every day and enjoy the sunset there. I think parks are great for low-income families and large families that can't fit all the kids in the yard if they don't even have a yard. It's a great place to take them and let them run around. Some people aren't fortunate enough to have yards in their backyard, so I think it's great to have community parks to go to. I'm concerned about how much parks cost, the maintenance, how much it's going to require. Yeah, I like parks, but not too many of them.
Okay. Thank you. So for the next question, we'll start with Robin Watley. And this particular question was addressed to Robin, but I'm going to combine it with another question. And really what these questions are both about is what the council can do or has done to increase citizen engagement and citizen participation. How can the council improve listening to the citizens? So I'll read these questions, and then you'll have 1 minute to respond to them. Okay. Robin Watley, you mentioned that once you came to council and were able to change a vote on an issue. I have viewed several meetings in which council will not discuss issues or pause to consider what citizens say. And at current council meetings, the public is given time to address issues, but would it be possible to actually discuss public comments prior to voting on these issues? When the mayor calls for the question before any discussion it has about the public's comments, it appears that the council does not care about the consensus of the citizens. So I think both of these questions are really asking council members how they can hear from citizens, engage to citizens, and respond to citizens before votes.
I love that question because for 3 years, I was sitting in the back seats, in the hard seats in the back, listening to council, and I wanted them to hear me. And so many times I got up and spoke. The mayor, most of the time, will give citizens a chance to speak about an issue. That is not up to me. I'm not the mayor. That's the mayor's purview, and he can speak to that. Okay? But most of the time, we do give it out to the citizens. They can come up. They can talk about it. I think we had like 90 meetings before we passed the general plan. This council has been over backwards to have citizen engagement. We want citizen engagement. In fact, every time we have like a full house, we're all like, wow, this is awesome. People are coming, people are interested, and they want to talk to us. So you have an opportunity, show up at the meetings.
Thank you. Bruce George.
It's a little funny because I've been in so many budget meetings, and I know Brad Gordon is always saying, we need more people to come to these meetings, and it's like there's nobody in there. So we would love to have more people come and speak up, and like Robin says, Charlie will give you 3 minutes, and you can even give somebody else 3 minutes anyway. So, but citizen engagement is vital to council knowing what you want. And so I encourage everybody to come to council meetings and speak up. And I hope to see more all the time. So.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
That's just an excellent question and something that I've been observing since I've been paying attention, attending council meetings. I'm not sure that the process isn't broken. I see that items appear on the agenda, and I've been fortunate since I've become a candidate that I get all the agenda and the subsequent the supporting documentation that goes along with that all the council members get. So I have more information than I did before. But if I was just an attendee, I would have a sheet, 1 page, 2 pages that gives the agenda items, but no details, no supporting documentation. And citizens are given a chance to talk, but council does not respond to them. Many people, I'll stop.
No, no.
Oh,
30 seconds.
start me over. Some people have told me that they don't believe council listens. They get up, they'll speak about an issue, speak very passionately, and the votes are taken almost immediately after the item's proposed. I see a problem with being able to take that agenda item, have some time to go out and talk to constituents, talk to citizens, see what their take is on it, talk to some business owners, and try and find out what they're feeling. And now it's time to stop. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
I agree with Bill that it is a broken process. I believe a couple months ago, a Wallet Hub study came out that ranked Camp Verde very low on a place to raise a child, and council and town staff just scoffed it off as being, you know, another study by Washington outsiders when it was actually done by the University of, or Arizona State University. I believe that town policy is being directed more by town manager than by the council. You know, there is a problem with listening and engagement. I mean, we say we have no money for a public recycling, and yet we give the town manager a pay increase. And I just think that's kind of not right. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Yes, the agenda is set on one Wednesday for the following Wednesday, and that agenda goes out. What I would really like to see citizens do, there is nothing that keeps any individual from writing and asking questions or coming in and sitting down with the manager to get whatever information they need or going directly to that particular department. That's our open door transparency that we have. Second thing is that when you are especially wanting council to really seriously consider your conversation about that, write that letter. It gives us time to do our own individual council research on that particular item. And when it can influence us. We're required by state law to do all of our business in public, not necessarily granting anyone to speak. It's just that we do it in public. We have implemented a little envelope or a slip where you can speak on any item, including those items that are not on the agenda. All you have to do is fill it out.
Please.
Oh, I didn't see the, okay.
Could we have
Thanks.
time for a rebuttal?
Yes, you may have 1 minute for a rebuttal. Robin Watley.
Okay. The ones that we leave, when you walk in the door and you take the slip and it shows you the agenda, it's usually 1 page. But you can get, if we were to print that out for every citizen, we would kill trees. I mean, forests. So what you can do is go to the town website. You go to the town website, it says agenda, you click on it, you go to the thing, you click on agenda for a particular meeting. There is the entire thing that we see. You are seeing exactly what we see. Also, sometimes we can't respond. If you're bringing up an item that is not on the agenda, we cannot respond to you. We would love sometimes to respond to you. We can't. We cannot respond to you. So what it needs to be is you need to ask us to put it on the agenda. Then we can respond to you. Also, the wallet study that says we weren't good for families, well, right there's a reason for parks, isn't it? Let's get some parks for our families.
Thank you. Bruce George, rebuttal.
I'll pass.
Bill LeBeau, rebuttal.
I'd just like to point out that unless it's a hot button issue, council meetings are very, very poorly attended. There's usually the same 2 guys sitting in there besides those of us that are interested in running. And a lot of people are just discouraged. They believe that their voice is not heard, that it doesn't matter what they say, that council's going to do what council's going to do anyway. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would like to be a part of changing that if it is true.
Thank you. Alex Getting, rebuttal.
Yes, I think just getting people involved in more committees, more studies that aren't happening on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. A lot of people work 2 jobs and can't make it there. So I think getting a better website would help, and putting the council meetings on YouTube would make it far easier to access council meetings we do have. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German, rebuttal.
No.
It's optional. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Can I take it?
No, no. Sorry. You'll get another chance. Okay, so for the next question, Bruce George will go first. And we're a community here, so I'm going to ask this question as it's written, and I'm going to try to interpret it, but I'm not sure I'm interpreting it quite correctly. I do think it's important to ask because it's the only question we have about health care. And it says, if there is to be a development of age-appropriate persons by bashes, by which I mean that we want older people perhaps, but I don't know. If there is to be a development of age-appropriate persons by bashes, what consideration is given for health care provisioning in Camp Verde? So is there something in Camp Verde that I don't know about bashes and health care?
I might give you a little clarity on that. There was a subdivision at 55 years and older that was going to be there. They did not close escrow. That is now
Is that what that is?
reflipped, and it will be open. But as far as I know, we haven't seen any plans on any age restriction at all. But I think that's what that question is talking about.
Okay.
Is there was a
But
development.
specifically about health care.
Yeah, it was going to be right next door to the healthcare system, and that was one of the main questions that we were asking NAH.
Okay, so Bruce George, starting with you, you can have 1 minute to talk about this issue of health care as it relates to bashes in this development, or health care generally, since we've only had one question on health care. Health care in Camp Verde. What is your view on health care in Camp Verde?
Well, I was really excited when we got the medical center here. It would be nice if we could expand that to include emergency care, but I know that's not on the drawing board right at this moment. But so the other health care we have is in Cottonwood, and so when 260 gets better, we can get over there faster. But I guess I'm not up on that question.
Okay, thank you. Bill LeBeau.
Healthcare is one of the fastest growing industries in the country, and it's got to do with some of the aging of the population. It's going to have to expand. We have a large number of retired people in town. Some people would like it to stay that way. Some people would like to see that change. Me personally, I'm a disabled vet. I go to the VA, so I haven't had any experience at all with any health care in Camp Verde. I do see it's going to grow. It'd be nice to see at least perhaps an urgent care center co-located with the Verde Valley Health Facility to avoid that long trip to Cottonwood if somebody's in a lot of pain.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
Yes. I don't know much about the topic there, so I'll just talk about health care. Again, education is probably the most important thing with health care. Eat right, work out properly, know from a young age what causes cholesterol, all these things that onset later. So again, education is very important on that. I agree with Bill that medical is an increasing business going on in this country. I think we could probably tap that of being I-17 and 260, and since we do have all the forests out here, there is a need for emergency medical to be applied rapidly. So I think we can attract more CNAs here to help our elderly folks as they age gracefully. And yeah, I just love to take care of people, and I think we can keep doing it.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Yes, I've been meeting with NAH, Northern Arizona Healthcare and Verde Valley Medical Center, and I'm not the only one that's concerned about that. There are other elected officials in the Verde Valley, and we're having a needs assessment sharing with NAH, making a presentation to the elected officials and managers within the Verde Valley very soon. In fact, I think it's next month. About 88% of the EMS calls with Camp Verde is for emergency medical services, and the ambulance service provides that. They can get you there very rapidly. We started out with an emergency center idea with this medical center. We couldn't make the numbers crunch because you have to have a general surgeon, cardiac surgeon, and bone surgeon as well, 24/7, and it takes at least 5 of those to cover 5 days a week. So they couldn't afford it. So we're looking at something like a minute immediate care facility in that facility. They built it to expand.
Thank you. Robin Watley.
Okay, I think the urgent care needs to come in and be part of that healthcare facility that has been built. I think, number one, we have to move in steps, and that's our first step, but we want to continue moving forward. I had 2 neighbors in my neighborhood that had to go to dialysis 2 and 3 times a week. These were elderly people who were sick, and they had to get in their car and go all the way to Cottonwood. So every time I hear of the medical center, I hear Charlie's going to a meeting, I impress upon dialysis. We've got to have that. My mother cannot drive to Cottonwood, and she should not drive to Cottonwood. And so when she has to go over there for her eye appointment, she gets dial-a-ride. So there is a way for her to get over there. Also, the medical center has a helicopter pad that they have built in case of emergency. They used to land right here in Rosonico Park. It was interesting. But now they have a helicopter pad at that facility for emergencies.
Okay, thank you. The next question, we'll go ahead and start with Alex Getting. It's addressed to Robin Watley, but I'd like to give all of the candidates an opportunity to answer. If we're doing really well, why did we choose to remove the recycling center? 1 minute.
Oh, good question.
That is a great question. I'm glad someone asked it. I do not know why we cannot afford a public recycling in this town. I think it's a necessary amenity. We pay for plenty of other things. We're paying for a park that will be free for our community, so I think we can afford public recycling for our community. It's my simple answer.
Thank you. Charlie German.
I love this question. The town did not remove it. It was one of the businesses who found that the bottom dropped out of recycled materials. And they have old equipment, which the other businesses charge a lot of money if you've ever taken your car in for an automobile repair. So they've got these big trucks that come down and haul this stuff back up. And it does save our landfills. About 88% or better from Sedona recycling does not go into the landfill. The town was notified by Sedona Recycling, we can no longer afford to come to Camp Verde on these runs. It's not profitable for us. Therefore, we're going to stay in Big Park and in Sedona for recycling. Now, the town is working very diligently behind the scenes with other businesses to see if we can't bring back recycling. It is available through other businesses.
All right, thank you. Robin Watley.
I love this question. Thank you, whoever did it. I am so into recycling. We have another person who's running for office who is not here, who said that those green bins by Bash's were an eyesore for our community. I said, no. I think they're showing people that we care about the environment. We care about how our town looks. That's why we have those recycling bins there. And by the way, if you have ever went by there, there was not trash around it. They were always picked up. They were always clean. We have, and that's the last thing I told my manager before he went on vacation, was we need to get a discussion about recycling. We have directed the manager to bring back to us different options, and he told me we'd have that meeting in August. So I am all about recycling, and I think we need to do it just to keep our town clean. We need it. So thank you.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Yeah, I'm definitely into recycling and environmentally conscious. And 2 years ago, I met with our manager, Charlie, and Sedona Recycles, and I asked them if there was some way that we could pay, and they brought down a cash machine that we could put money into when we were recycling. And for a while, we were doing better than they were in Sedona. We were putting more money in that box than they were in Sedona. And I think after a while, it dropped off and they took the money back. But we were trying to contribute that way. And I think our manager had already set aside $24,000 in our budget when they already decided to take it away.
Right.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
I know it's probably already been said, but it wasn't Camp Verde that stopped recycling. It was a recycling company. Didn't have the ability to travel this far and pick up their refuse anymore because of some equipment problems with their transportation equipment. I know that it's a hot item on the council. I know that they're looking into it. I know that the money is still in the budget to do it, and I'm confident that whoever happens to be on the council, if it's not settled by December, it will be taken care of.
Thank you. Okay. Would you like a rebuttal?
Yeah, I just have a...
Okay, let's have a 30-second rebuttal, okay?
Okay. I noticed down in Tucson that the town has a public service. They have one company that comes and picks up all the trash for every house, down every alley. And I'm wondering why Camp Verde doesn't do that. And we have 2 or 3 services coming through town. Smog, I mean, we're talking about what we can do for nature, and I think this is one of them. We can go to one trash service, and town can help pay for it, and it can help pick up everybody's trash, and we can still have a public. So I'm just throwing that on the table. Maybe that's something we can look at.
Thank you. Charlie German, rebuttal?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we are looking at that particular option. I would hate to be one of the 3 businesses that go around and ultimately have a town say, okay, you're the chosen one, the rest of you, the other 2 can get out. So that's part of the dilemma that we're dealing, because I can imagine the newspaper articles of how mean we are as a town to get rid of 2 businesses that are thriving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Robin Watley, rebuttal.
No rebuttal.
Bruce George?
No, I pass.
Bill LeBeau?
The issue seems to be about consumer choice, and competition helps keep the prices down, the cost to the residents lower. I'm not sure that having one company instead of 3 companies is going to reduce traffic any. You're still going to have the same number of trucks making the same number of stops, picking up the same trash. I could be wrong about that. I don't know if Alex gets to go again and help, but I don't see that it really would make that big a difference for the environment.
Okay, thank you. For the next question, we'll start with Charlie German. And the question is, for 1 minute, how do you want to invest in Camp Verde's infrastructure?
How do I want to invest in Camp Verde? I think we're,
as mayor.
As the town, as mayor, I'm one of 7 policymakers, and it takes 4 votes to decide anything. And I think that we've demonstrated that in, instead of waiting till 260 is completely built and then go back and try and put utility sleeves whenever people are going to develop that land out there, we looked ahead and put those utility sleeves across that in numerous places, and they'll be ready to go.
Thank you. Robin Watley?
I think we're very interested in that, and we have really moved forward on that. That's why, as Charlie said, the infrastructure is going in now, so that we don't have to tear up the road again and to put that in. Also, it will entice businesses when they ask a landowner, do you have access to sewer, water, to all these things? We can say yes. Also, we've invested a lot of money, hundreds of thousands, in stormwater. As you know, sometimes when it rains, we have flooding. So we have really invested in our stormwater to try to reduce that possibility. Also, we also have a cycle for roads. So we're on a plan now, which we haven't been for years. We're on a plan now to do a section of the town every year. So we're making sure that our roads are kept up as well. So I think we're very involved and interested in doing things on infrastructure.
Thank you. Bruce George?
Yeah, I agree with Charlie. We have put forward the money for the infrastructure. And we also have hired a company called Retail Strategies that goes out and tries to tell other companies that this is a good place to come and relocate your business or start another business here. So that was a 3-year contract, and I would like to see if they could succeed in that, that we could extend that contract. So I think that that was a good decision by council to have a recruiting company come in and help Camp Verde, and so I would like to see that extended.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau?
I'm not aware of any major infrastructure problems at this time. I could be wrong about that, I suppose, but it seems to me from looking through the budget that it's addressed. There's some good preventive maintenance programs going on, and I believe we've got a pretty good staff that is keeping up on any problems as they occur. If something I'm not aware of, I hope somebody will tell me.
Thank you. Alex Getting?
Yeah, I believe we have good roads and good infrastructure already. I know the water department's up in the air right now, but I think we can help develop workforce housing and get a means to help people live here, frankly. It's really expensive to live here, and I think if we help people live closer to work, it would do great for them. And we can help the businesses that we do have here with a little bit of marketing about Camp Verde and where we are, and some signage, frankly, about Main Street and down Industrial Drive where I work. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Robin Watley, you'll take the next question first, and this will be the last question before your closing statements. You have 1 minute for this question, and it is, what have you done for Camp Verde to make the town a better place to live?
Wow. What have I done for Camp Verde? When I first moved here, that was 33 years ago, my kids were little. I was very involved in my church and doing things with the kids. I was a den mother, and I also was on the Boy Scout board. So I've been involved. I've been involved at the elementary, the middle school, the high school. I told my kids it's a good thing we live close to these schools because I was going there constantly for different activities. So, and I also would help go in and be a mom, help teachers. 30 seconds. And as I said, currently, I'm teaching ESL classes twice a week. I volunteer for everything. They always call me. I always say yes. For any festival, anything that's going on, I'll volunteer. I'm friends of the library. Pretty much all you have to do is ask me. That's the requirement.
Thank you. Bruce George.
Oh boy, I've reconditioned the tennis courts. I've helped many of our citizens with their taxes with the AARP Tax Aid Service. We did over 700 returns this last year. I've served on the Parks and Rec Commission. I've served on the council. We just finished putting a sign, which is just like the one on General Crook, by the Historical Society. Spent many hours doing that one. Let's see, served on council. I just help me out, Ray. The old guys. We've done so much with the old guys, so I think I've contributed quite a bit to the town.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
Well, I've got my time over at the marshal's office. When I was able to volunteer over there, I've been very active in my church in a number of different activities. I think I mentioned that I'm an elder there. Active with the Library Endowment Board, thanks to my good neighbor. And I think I've got a desire to do a whole lot more, which is why I'm sitting here tonight. I've got some time, I've got some abilities, I think, and I'd like to contribute even more to my community.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
I started a business 5 years ago, and during that time, for most of that time, we've employed at least 5 people and as many as 24 people at one time. I'm proud of that, and one of the women that used to work for us, I got to know very well, and she had a completely different upbringing than me, and I asked her what her goals were in life, and she never said, no one ever asked her that. And now she had some opiate problems. She is now healthy. She's unfortunately not living in Camp Verde, but I'm proud that I feel like I helped her get on the right path by employing her and getting her back on her feet. And that's where I just feel like I've reached beyond my comfort zone, and I will continue to do so as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
33 years in education in the Verde Valley, 12 years with the Camp Verde Unified School District School Board, 10 years, almost 11 years with the Camp Verde Volunteer Fire Department, the Library Association, Camp Verde Library Endowment, about 12 years, 13 years, and the original, when we built the one that's now, it has parking lot out there, was back in 1975, and I spent time raising the funds with the community before we were incorporated, and that's been my service. And wherever there's something that I can do in helping elderly people build things or repair something that they can't afford, I'm there.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now have closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. We'll start with Bruce George.
Well, I feel proud of my service to Camp Verde during my tenure as councilor and then vice mayor. We've accomplished many good things, and I started the beautification award, and with Robin Watley, Jesse Murdoch, we initiated and adopt the highway. Charlie helped out also. Plus many other items. I can't wait until the new sports complex and our other parks are complete so people can get enjoyment out of them. Having previously served, it's easy to look at my record and judge for yourself if you like what I stand for. For instance, I voted for the 2015 budget. That included the financing for this library, and I'm very proud of that. In contrast, Carol German voted against that budget, therefore was voting against the building of this library. So, do you want to move forward or remain stagnant? I hope you choose to move forward.
Thank you. Bill LeBeau.
I don't want to sound hopelessly naive, but I really honestly still believe in representative government. I don't think we see a lot of that at really much of any level in the country anymore. I don't think I'm smarter than anybody else and that I should be making decisions on anybody's behalf. I think that I should represent, and I will represent, the people of Camp Verde, and I want to talk to people, I want to meet more people, I want to become aware of what's going on in town and hear what everybody's concerns are. I bring a lifetime of government service and a good deal of leadership experience as well, and I think I can apply that to the town and maybe do a little bit of good here. I want to help guide the town's growth. It's going to grow. There's unfortunately no way around that for some folks, but it'll be a good thing, and if we're smart about it, I think we're going to continue to have a very, very lovely town for a long time into the future.
Thank you. Alex Getting.
Thank you. My name is Alex Getting, and I am the write-in candidate for mayor. So remember how, I'll tell you how to spell my name in just a bit. But anyways, I am running for a better future for working families, children, and elderly. I want to increase citizen involvement and provide a voice for those who have felt ignored. And I want to focus again on bringing help to our most valuable resource, which are the people that live here. We have discussed a lot of difficult topics today, and there will be hard decisions ahead, but I think if we approach those decisions with love, they will become a lot easier to grapple with. So I think we should just keep love in our hearts, and we will get through tough times. I am here to listen, learn, and serve as a citizen of Camp Verde and for the citizens in Camp Verde. And so, again, I please ask you to write in Alex Getting for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Charlie German.
Yes, great discussions, great questions posed to the candidates. I want to thank all the candidates for stepping up and running. It's always good to have choice for the citizens of Camp Verde. If you didn't get your question answered tonight, and specifically you want to know more information about any topic, I have business cards back there on that back table. I want you to pick one of those up and email me. I will send you an answer or get an answer for you. It's very difficult to answer some of these questions in 1 or 2 minutes. There's a whole lot more to it. And we have, as mentioned in this closing remarks, we have our Verde River Recreation Master Plan for our, I thought it was 17. You guys keep expanding, 18. We're a 42 square mile incorporated community. Takes a lot of resources to deal with that. I think we've attempted to really listen to the citizens. I've always listened to the community. And if you've known me as a classroom teacher out here, you have a question, you let me know what it is, and I'll get you the answer. I will listen, and I will work for you. I appreciate and would ask for your support for another 2-year term as mayor, and I would appreciate your careful consideration and your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Robin Watley.
Okay. I believe this is a crucial election for Camp Verde. This one really counts. It will determine whether we continue to press forward and expand services and opportunities for our citizens, or whether we will take a giant step backward. I do not subscribe to the doom and gloom mentality of those council candidates who do not want the sports complex built, those who are misrepresenting our financial situation. I believe our future is bright only if we elect representatives that want to move forward to better the town. I'm running so that the optimism and hope of our future can come to fruition, so that our families, our children, and our grandchildren can enjoy the new sports complex. It's time to invest in ourselves for an improved quality of life for all of our citizens, and it really depends on this election. I would really be grateful if you would vote for me. I will continue to help to move us forward to get that sports complex built and all the other things that we want and we need in the town of Camp Verde. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you to all the candidates for your participation in this forum, and thank you to you, our audience, for your attention and participation. We would also like to thank the Camp Verde Library for hosting this event. Remember, Election Day for the primary election is August 28th, and the last day to register to vote or to change your party registration or update your address is July 30th. Early voting ballots will be mailed out the week of August 1st, and completed ballots can be returned by mail or dropped off at an election location. If you are registered as a non-designated or independent, you can vote in the primary election. When you go to your polling place, you will be asked to designate which party ballot you want. If you are a permanent early voter, you should have received a form from the county elections office which allowed you to select the party ballot for which you wish to vote. A ballot will not be mailed to unaffiliated voters unless the elections office receives a form from you, the voter, indicating your ballot choice. You may also make your choice by contacting the county election office by phone, email, or through early ballot request website for Yavapai and Coconino County. Okay, the upshot of that is if you're an independent, it's kind of an extra step to vote in the primary election, but take that extra step, go to your polling place, and you will be able to vote. And remember, as some of the candidates said, if your question did not get asked, speakers will be available to speak to you at the close of this forum, and candidate information is available on the tables in the back of the room on the table. Remember to vote. Voting is people power. Please give a big round of applause to all the candidates for running for office. Good night.